Hey everyone, welcome to a new episode of the Red Devils Corner Kick podcast, a fan podcast dedicated to Manchester United Football Club. As always, like, subscribe, follow, whether it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. And also don't forget to follow on social media, Instagram, TikTok, or X. Thank you to all those who have followed, commented, liked, whether it's been on social media, Instagram, TikTok, X, YouTube. Greatly do appreciate all the support as well in the comments. I greatly do appreciate it as always. It is Tuesday night. It is a little late. I hope everyone enjoyed their weekend. Whether you had the long weekend or a 2-day weekend, I hope everyone did enjoy it. But yeah, we're back at it. It's been a unique couple days for Manchester United, for the men's squad and the women's squad. Saturday's episode, I talked about just doing an episode today on what I want Carrick to do. I'm going to talk about some other stuff before I get into that, just because we've had some changes happening. Now, transfer-wise, nothing has changed. Linked to certain people expecting this, and this. There is now also talks of where they may not continue with another midfielder signing because they are happy with Mason Mount. Everyone has expressed themselves. I will express myself with this, and I've even said something on my Twitter post, and I posted it on all my other socials. I do enjoy Mason Mount. I know he's talented. I know he's great. There are injury concerns. We are going to be playing Champions League, Premier League, Cup tournaments, so on and so forth. You know what I'm referring to. Is he going to be fit for all that? And are we going to be okay? Listen, please remember last year, there was talks of getting a goalkeeper or a keeper for the season. They did not end up going to get one because they thought they were satisfied with Onana and Binder until what happened at the beginning of the season with the lost Arsenal and then the loss to Grimsby. So and then they went on and got Semi Lamens. We're 4 weeks from this happening, so we have until roughly the first week of September, after possibly Labor Day. We have Hull City, Ipswich, Everton as our first 3 games. We have a Champions League game plus Man City. Let's just not hope we go through the same scenario as we did last year. That's where I'm going to leave it as. So I don't want them panic buying, so on and so forth. I do want another midfielder. Mount can be used as a utility player, whether we need him there or if we need him at the 10, out on the wing. Like, there are scenarios where he can fit in. So let's leave it there. So yeah, that is a disappointment when you're hearing the news that there will be no more third midfield signing. So we'll see. One day there's no signing, next day there is. For all we know, next week we sign 2 midfield, like every time. So, and then we're hoping that nothing happens in the preseason. So preseason now until the season, hey, we can, unless they're going to go with the Licha scenario where they play Licha up, like, let's just leave it there. Let's just, we know. I know the expressions on Instagram, TikTok. I've seen it on X. I've seen it on YouTube. Fan channels discussing that. So, yeah. Also, in the news, for the women's squad, Mark Skinner and United parted ways. There's a different direction the women's squad is going. Is this, which I understand why he would leave. It also is heartening to see why some players are leaving. Gabby George is now gone. She's expected to sign with Brighton. So we've lost depth. We've lost some starters. I think that's now 6 players we've lost, which hurts. It really does. I do like Gabby George. Fit in greatly when we did lose players. She was great for rotation. Great piece, great as a starter. So it is tough to lose a player like that. Losing Mark Skinner as a manager is tough too for what he has done. And I thanked him on X, and I posted it on my Instagram and my TikTok as well, thanking him for what he has done, especially for what they did last season. Like, I know it's not the way, and we didn't like the way it ended last season. Obviously, depth, injuries, so on and so forth, just went. It went. And we saw the exhaustion, everything. We saw it there. So, unfortunately, the parting ways is tough for what he has done, and obviously the struggles with the club over since certain ownership has taken over. Obviously, trying to build, get it going forward. Listen, we do need to compete, but we're seeing the lack of commitment now with the men's side with backing this manager. Now we're seeing it. We saw it now, and why. So they are going with a different approach, focusing on youth, building the academy, getting things going. How's that going to look in the end? We don't know. I know it's scary at the moment, but we have to wait and see. They do have their potential replacement on the way. Eva Olid, manager for, I just have it up here. Just give me a moment. Former manager who just passed with a heart of Midlothian in Scotland. They just won the Scottish Premier League as well. So leaving as top of the league, getting their first one as well. So she has done. She shows that she's won in the league. She has been there. Was appointed manager in 2021, losing to a cup final to Rangers, and then winning the league this past year. So she has done incredible things from what I've been reading about her. So, from what I've read too, people making comments, her work with the youth, so helping building the young players, getting that ready to go, because it sounds like that's the direction Ineos and the women's squad are heading towards, focusing on homegrown players, building it up through the system, getting ready to go. So we will see. I know a lot of fans seem excited with this potential signing. I've seen a lot of good things. I know the direction has a lot of fans concerned, myself included, on how that's going to go. So we have to wait and see. We don't know. The one thing that's just concerning is the departure. Obviously, the manager wants to go in one direction. The ownership wants to go in a different one. They settled their things and so on and so forth. The thing is, we are 4 weeks away from the season. So preseason hasn't really started yet for the women's squad, but we're at an appointment where we're at a situation where we don't have many signings. The depth is a concern. I know we're only going to be playing League Cup, FA Cup, and the Super League. So obviously we're not going to be playing in Champions League. The goal should be to try and get back. But with departures, battling with Chelsea, Arsenal, and Man City, trying to keep up with them, battling Tottenham, we have a battle for the women's squad. So there is going to be a tough road. The question is, how long are we going to be there, and what are we going to see? So are we going to see the growth? Are we going to see the development? Are we going to see, because I know United have been signing professional contracts for some people who made debuts last year. So it's just a matter of how are we going to see this women's squad go this season. And it's tough because we're still within like 24 or 48 hours of Skinner departing. Now they're having the appointment. So the fact that they went to an appointment within a day shows that it looks like they've potentially, well, I'm not going to speculate. I'll just leave it there. No speculation. So, but yeah, here we are. We're in a different stage with Manchester United right now with the women's squad. We're going in a different direction. They don't believe the funding and trying to keep up with those clubs to help. So United are in a different direction at this point. So, but yeah, it's been an unusual 24 hours, especially with Skinner, the appointment now, the new manager, hearing the news about not another midfielder. Still no idea. And I know they're looking to target Lewis Hall. I know a $60 million bid. There's no updates on Kone from what I've been seeing. So right now we're in a lull with the men's squad. So I hope the women's squad do get more signings. From my understanding, we only have one, but I hope we start getting some more signings as well. So as of today, yeah, it's a new direction for the women's squad. So we'll see. It will take time. Again, I'm going to do games. I'm going to do watch-alongs for the games. I'm doing a watch-along on Saturday for PSG. So keep an eye on for that as I post too. So, okay. Obviously, with everything going on and all that stuff. So we're now I can get to, I'm now tongue-tied. Today's episode was going to be mostly talking about Michael Carrick for this season. We're 3 weeks into preseason. We're 4 games away. 3 games. We got PSG, Leeds next week, and then AC Milan. So yeah, we're 3 games away from the preseason ending, and we're about 2.5 weeks from the regular season starting. I think we're about 4 weeks away from the transfer window. So why not talk about Michael Carrick? Why not look at it here? Let's just focus on this episode on being about what we expect from Michael Carrick. Listen, last year, and I know I've used the word manager. And he's titled as a head coach. So obviously last year was the caretaker, Michael Carrick. This year is the boss. So what we saw last year is not what we're expected to see this season, potentially. And I don't want to be talking about him as potential puppet, him not talking bad about the Glazers, so on and so forth. I want to talk about him being the man. We have to talk about how he's going to run this team this season, how we're going to look at it here. As of right now, it's not looking good for support with him in terms of depth. Obviously, I just talked about Mason Mount. No additional signings of midfielders. Don't get me wrong, they have spent money. I'm not like to say they haven't spent. They have. They spent about, I think, £100 million, so on and so forth, or probably less than that. Let's say about probably close to 90. Because again, Santos, Tielemans is roughly about 85. Darlow, and then Thompson. So yeah, let's just say under 100, just to be safe. Under 100 million, about probably close to 100 million pounds spent on transfer. So we have spent money. It's just that we're not spending the money that we're looking at here. We're supposed to be expecting to have a budget of 150 million for that. So the question is, we're never going to know what Carrick is going to say. We know Carrick is happy with Mason Mount. He's thrilled to see it there. But like, the question is, how is he going to react this season when we don't have players? How is he going to react when players aren't performing? How is he going to react when we have a player who's giving attitude and not happy with the decisions that are Carrick making? Right now, we have to look at it here. Carrick is the head coach. He is in charge of getting these players ready. The formation and everything is set for him to do. The question is now can he get them ready? I'm not going to be asking for him to be sacked right away. Even though I know there's fans out there that have been talking about it, but what I'd like to see this season is consistency, an idea of a formation, or idea of I shouldn't say formation of tactics. Listen, this team plays transition counterattack. He wants to do possession based. Wilcox even talked about trying to do possession based. Will they stick by those guns? Because we had managers that wanted to do that, especially the last two. We'll see how that goes. Consistency, managing players, managing egos. How are we going to do this? Like, what's he going to do with rotation? Because you can't feed everyone. With this rotation, we don't. With this rotation, he's going to have to play it. I won't say close to the chest, but he's going to have to be consistent with it. Not everyone's going to play Premier League, Champions League, then Premier League matches. So I'm rooting for Carrick this season. I am. I'm not going to go question, like, don't get me wrong. I will be questioning certain things. It's always easy to question after it's done, right? So that's the thing. So when looking at it here, Carrick is going to be facing an uphill battle this season. And I mentioned it. I want consistency. I want to know what the tactics are going to be like. I want to know how he's going to handle the rotation. I want to know, like, the discipline. I don't care about videos being shown out of tactics and what's being done. I want to see the transition. I want to know is how is he going to rebound? He's going to face challenges. Please remember, the caretaker then to now is going to be different. It is. There is different. This is no longer Michael Carrick, the caretaker. This is Michael Carrick, the manager. Carrick needs to be there to get everything ready. He has to be there, and he's going to be the face of it. He's going to be face of their struggles. He's going to be face when things aren't going right. The question is, how is he going to adapt and how everything's going? What is his tactics? What is his movement? What is he planning to do? Is he going to lose it? Is he going to express frustrations? Are we going to see those frustrations? Like, I'm not saying he's going to call them out, but he's going to have to he's going to have to say something if something doesn't go right with the transfers. He is being handed players and he's told to manage these players. The idea of how he's going to work the attack, it's hard to say. It really is. It's hard to say how things are going to go. Up front, we have a cluster of Cunha, Embuemo, Sesko, Xerxes, now Marcus Rashford, Dorgu. What are they going to look there? I know you have Thompson, who was just added on, Amad Diallo. So you're looking at how you're going to be trying to control those players. So we have to wait and see how that goes. How are they going to rotate? How are they going to move? Like, the talks of Carrick excited that Rashford's coming back. How is he going to use Rashford? Is he going to be able to handle the attitude of Rashford? Because we've seen what's happened with the last two managers. Kobe Mainoo is going to be rotating. Kobe Mainoo is still developing. He's still 20. Kobe Mainoo is going to have some competition. Santos, Tielemans, Bruno, now Mason Mount. Why was it Mason Mount starts playing better than him? But the only reason why Mainoo is playing because Mount can't be healthy. What I'm looking to see is how is he going to manage all that? That's what I'm going to see. How is he going to attack a game on a Saturday when knowing Wednesday he has to prepare for Champions League? Will he use players? What is he planning to do? How is he going to look at it? Let's say you're playing Real Madrid on a Wednesday and you're playing, let's say, Fulham on a Sunday. There's ideas there. But how is he going to adapt when they're defending the counter too well? Is he going to adapt? Are we going to see formation changes? Carrick has a lot of pressure on him. And I know I've mentioned it already, but I would like to see him. I want to see him adapt. I want to see him make changes. I want to see him be able to have to pull someone off and get a player benched because they aren't playing well. Will he bench our captain? Will he look at players who the fans favor? Will fans be upset with him if he's not starting a certain player? We're upset that he wasn't giving Mazraoui much of a chance last year. Remember last season, I said this at the beginning of the year. I said, there's not enough football and too many mouths to feed. And we saw that happen. We saw the results of Kobe Mainoo. We saw other players, but there's just too many mouths to feed. And this season, there is going to be plenty of mouths to feed. The question is, how is he going to attack that? What is he going to do for the back four? Like, there are questions there on how to progress with this season. And it's hard to say. Because right now, we don't know how this team is going to be. Like, we play AC Milan as the final preseason game, and obviously that game is going to get hyped up more than a Champions League's final. That's over. That's being overzealous. But the Man United fans are going to treat that like a Champions League final. They are. They're going to treat that because it's the caretaker versus the former manager, or the current manager, so on for like head coach versus the former manager. Like that title just sounds weird. But the thing is, what does he do going into that? The question is, what does he do if they win and they lose to Hull City? What is the response there? How is he going to respond to that? So, like, there is going to be questions. The health of the players is going to be questioned. What's he going to do if Mason Mount gets hurt? If we lose Tielemans, who is coming in hurt, but I'm just using him as an example. Luke Shaw, Lisandro Martinez, once De Ligt is delayed coming back. That's 5 players there. That's 5. What's he going to say when the depth is there? What's he going to do? Bring in academy players? Which ones are you going to use? Which one is he going to like? Like, Luke Shaw is only good for 1 game a week. Same with potentially Mason Mount. So, and then Licha, who has had struggles with fluke injuries, like tearing an ACL, all that stuff. It's just tough to get those injuries. Like when you get those, I remember the 2023 injury. Then you had what he did a year later. Like it's tough. It really is. De Ligt's back. Like we don't have him yet. We don't know what's going on with there. Like what's he going to do when we do suffer injuries with our left or right back? What's he going to do there when we're losing that? I just mentioned 5 players. Like Mount, Licha, nothing against Licha. We know when he's there, he's there. But Licha's hurt. Licha has had injuries in the past. De Ligt is not fully healthy. Mount has injury concerns. Luke Shaw has. Yes, last year he played every Premier League game. That was a fluke. So 4 players there. What if Sesko isn't fully healthy? We don't have depth for a striker. What is he going to do if Bruno gets injured? Like like how is he going to adapt to that? What's he going to say as the reason why we're not winning with that is? Are we going to see frustration with him? Are we going to see him code and develop? What if we start losing on a win streak? Are we going to see him still express himself? There is a lot of things that could go wrong this season, and Carrick is, I don't want to say set up to fail, but Carrick is set up to struggle. Do I think, like, I'm going to do my preview later on in the season, or later on before the before the regular season starts. It'll be out before Hull City, and I couldn't even get out that sentence. But right now, we are in a boat here where Carrick has a lot of challenges. It is. There's going to be challenges, and I like to see him overcome those challenges. But realistically, like I mentioned, the tactics, I want to see how he's going to do that. Are we going to see the possession base, or is he just going to give up after a certain time, be like, oh, it's not working? Is this board going to interfere with him on him trying to coach his tactics? Or is the board just saying, you're going to do this, if we're not liking it, you're going to change back to that? Is he even going to be able to set up what he wants? That's the one thing that's a concern. Is he going to be setting up what he wants? But we know it's the board because the board came out and tried to tell Amarim to change him as well. Carrick wants to see possession-based. Are we going to see that possession-based? We don't know. How long until he abandons the possession base and just goes straight back to transition or counter? Doing park in the bus type defense. What's going to happen? What's going to happen when we start facing teams that, though everything that Carrick did last year worked, because again, it usually does, what if it doesn't work again? What's Ineos and them going to do to back Carrick? What if we need personnel in the January transfer window? What if we are losing players in the January transfer window? What if we have injuries that players are gone? Because again, like, Carrick is not going to express his frustration. We know that because we know that he doesn't have the full control. We know that. But Carrick what's Carrick going to do to adapt? That's the one thing too. Like the tactics, the consistency, the adaptability. How are we going to see him adapt? There's a lot of things we don't know. And obviously we're going to keep trying to push and find out more because obviously we don't. We right now, we're in the middle of our preseason, got 3 games left, and like we have a lot of things to work on. We do. Like nothing is preseason gets everyone fit and you start implementing some of your tactics. But right now, we're not seeing the test of what Carrick's doing with the proper 11. Cunha is coming back. Bruno, Delo, Mazraoui, they're back this week. We saw them. They should be into training. We'll probably see them appear this weekend on PSG. The question is, what do you do there? What happens if the transition, what happens if that possession-based transition or possession-based system that you want to install doesn't work? Bruno likes to do the big passes. Cunha can do possession. Amad Diallo is perfect for possession. Even Mbeumo can do the possession. Cunha would be kind of similar to Bruno. Rashford is not possession-based. Rashford won't track back. Dorgu is still developing. Like you can try with Mount and Santos in the middle, but that's not going to work. Like Kobe can play, but he's more of an east to west type player. Him going north and south, and he doesn't really pass forward. So he's still developing. Tielemans knows how to play, and we're trying to replace Casemiro, who brought in, I think it was like 10 goals last season, 9 or 10 goals last season. So trying to replace that with him. Like, I just want, like, again, when he's doing his tactics and preparing, how is he going to see things? Because again, the midfield, they're all different players. They are, like, no one's there to replace Casemiro, but there's someone there to try to fill in what he has done. But yeah, we'll see. But again, seeing him saying Mason Mount, he's happy with that. Don't get me wrong, he is talented, but I mentioned 4 players that could potentially get injured, that can be injured for a long time. What's he going to do then? Is he going to request more players? Are we going to see that? Or are we going to get to the point where we're going to be desperate at the final week of the transfer window and we're not going to like what we're seeing? Like, United are lucky that they're playing Hull City and Ipswich and Everton, but like, realistically, they're not really important. Like, sorry, I should reword that. No, like, that was poor words by me. Like, they are important games. They are. But there, and I mentioned the other episode too, there's no guarantee in those wins. Because like I mentioned before, when we talked about AC Milan, they can blow out AC Milan 10-0. If we lose 1-0 to Hull City, what's the point? Like I mentioned, this is why I like preseason, but at the same time too, preseason is, you know, the way it is. But for Carrick and everything, like Hull City, Ipswich, and Everton are important games. They are. They're points that we cannot drop. But I know some people are probably looking at it, that's how I should have worded it, that they should be walkthrough games, and I'm guaranteeing this board is looking at that as well. Also, I should have mentioned the conditioning, the fitness of this team. How is Carrick going to get this team? Like, is this team going to be actually fit? Because, they're going to be facing teams that can run for days. They're going to be facing teams that are possession-based and can outrun us. What does he do then? How is the physical fitness of this team going to look? Because Amram had them fantastic. Like, they were physically fit to transition, and you saw it drop off. Can he bring that back for what he did in those beginning games to now? And are they going to? The intensity of practice, so on and so forth. Once we're going to see them being, how do I say it? It's a very common, down tools. There you go. Once they down tool Carrick. If we're seeing them struggle, and you're seeing it go through, how does he adapt and get them out of it? What does he do when they start not playing to the way that he wants them to play? And they request that, like, because we've seen it happen, we've gone through a handful of managers. But what happens if, like, the physical fitness for these games is going to be there? Cunha's not used to it, and Buemo's not used to it. Let's be fair, most of these players on the squad won't be used to it because they haven't been there. They haven't. It's been a while since we've been in Champions League or even Europe, like overall European competition. But the physical fitness is going to be a question, especially when we're playing teams. They showed the first pod. Bayern, Barcelona, Real Madrid, PSG are all in that first pot. Guess what? When we see them midweek, we're not going they're going to find ways. And there's going to be weeks where we're having 3 games. So, like, for example, we're going to have Everton, a Champions League game, and then Man City. That's the first game. That's the first test. There'll probably be one more after that, and so on and so forth. So, it's going to be like that all season where there's going to be a struggle. The question is, can United adapt? Can United get themselves back the proper fitness when they're playing those games? Because again, like, let's say we play Real Madrid on the Wednesday and we're playing Man City on the Sunday. How exhausting is that going to be? It's going to be quite exhausting, I would think. So we have to wait and see how it goes. It's there to think about, but like, again, I talked about consistency. I talked about adaptability. I talked about tactics. Listen, he's going to be playing the formation that they want them set out, which is basically a 4-3-3. But the formation is just going to look as like a 4-2-3-1, playing counter-attacking, sorry. But we're like, we'll see. And then again, like, there's going to be pressure there through the mid. Like, he has to be able to adapt and get things going. Are we going to see a formation change? Are we going to see, like, or is he just going to do what he's being told? In the end, right now, after I've just talked about all this, at the end of the day, is he just going to be told what to do and just say, here you go, hope for the best? So, listen, there's a lot of things to talk about, but yeah. Listen, today's episode is basically about managers, almost like me talking about Carrick. Obviously now with Skinner gone, Waleed coming in, so we have the new manager, which has just been appointed today. So we have that happening. So listen, we have a lot of challenges going into this preseason. We have a lot of challenges going into, like, for both the men's squad and the women's squad. There's a lot of things that are concerned for the club. So we just have to wait and see. We'll see how it goes, because again, we're still in the preseason. Women's squad should be having their preseason soon. They're going to be in a big block with obviously a new manager. So we'll see. And then Carrick, it's just a matter of, listen, there's a lot of things I want to see. I want to see improvement on adaptability. I want to see improvement on conditioning. I want to see improvement on consistency. Because what happens if we lose to Everton 1-0? And then we blow our, like, let's say we lose to Hull City. How do they rebound to that? How do they, like, let's say they lose their first 2 games. There's a possibility, ladies and gentlemen, there's a possibility that they could lose the first 3, or like they can go 1-1-1. They can drop points in those 3 games. We've seen it. This is the ultimate test here when I'm talking about consistency, adaptability, like aggression. Like, we want to see things here. And what happens if they drop points in those 3? Again, nothing to Hull City, nothing to Ipswich, nothing to Everton. But realistically, we've seen how these players, sorry, I shouldn't say all, but some of these players play against these types of clubs. So they may be affected by that. Then we're going to go and see them show up against Man City. That's the one thing that's going to kill me. That's one thing going to kill the fan base, is we don't show up against those 3 teams, but we come back and everyone thinks that we're back because we beat Man City, because they only care about playing the derby. And we hope that they show up against that Champions League. For all we know, that week, it's big week of Champions League. For all we know, we get Real Madrid. But who knows? There's a lot of things to look at. So I will be back Thursday. Yes, Thursday. I'll talk about the PSG game. I'll catch up on transfers. I'll catch up more on our new manager for our head coach for the women's squad. And then Saturday I will be doing a watch along for the PSG game. So we'll talk about that. But yeah, we'll talk about those games as we're coming up. And then we're almost there. And then we have a Leeds game next week, which I'll be doing some earlier episodes for that. And then next Saturday is the match against AC Milan. I think I might just do a watch along for that too. Who knows? But yes, enjoy your Tuesday. Enjoy your week. I'll talk to you guys on Sunday. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, follow, whether it's YouTube, Apple Podcast, or Spotify, and then Instagram, TikTok, or X for social media. This is the Red Devils Corner Kick Podcast. Glory, glory, Man United.